Good morning. In this video, I'm going to talk about arrays. I'm going to use the same example that I used in the loops video with the 4 circles to discuss arrays and how we can use them to make things easier for us. So again, I'm making a row of 4 circles. I did that using the ellipse command only, and you can see the result here. Okay, I did this in red. Now, I'll do the same, but in blue right now, using arrays. So instead of having a different x position for each of the ellipses, I'm just going to make an array called x positions. And you saw something similar in the Make It Rain project. And I'm going to list the different x positions. So the first one is 140, 180, 220, and 260. Okay? And then to draw the ellipses, I would have to use a loop still because I want the loop to go through the array. And so you might be thinking like, okay, what's the point of using an array from making a loop anyways? And we did this with loops, and I'll show you in a second. So I set up my for loop here. Say var I equals 0. There are 4 circles, so I'm going to say I is less than 4. And I plus plus. And I'll show you why writing I is less than 4 is actually a bad idea. But in a second. So, and then I'll just write ellipse here. Instead of writing an x position, instead of having a variable, I now have a list. So this I is going to loop through the list. So I'm going to write x positions, and I think most of you saw this already in the videos that Hannah had me make. So x positions I, and then I'll write the rest is just going to be the same. I'm going to make it 140, so it's a little bit below 20, 20. So what's happening here? This loop is repeating 4 times. I starts as 0 and goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the first iteration, x positions 0 is equal to 140. So the first dot is drawn at x equals 140. Then the second time, it takes the second number in the list, which is 180, then 220, then 260. Okay? What's nice about this is that it's more concise than what we have over here. Okay? We have all our x positions in the list. And the advantage of this over just a loop is that we can customize each dot separately. I can make this, let's say 50, then make this like 80, then make this 300, make this 350. You see that? I can choose the position of each individual circle. If I just use a loop, I can't do that. And here I can also easily add and remove circles. So let's say I add another one at 200. Instead of making it repeat 4 times, I'll make it repeat 5 times. And then I have a new circle here right in the middle at 200. The problem with using a constant here, though, is what I mentioned earlier, is that if I change the size of the list again, some weird things happen, right? Right now you see an extra 5th dot here at 0, even though we don't have any zeros. And that's because we're telling the loop to go through 5 times, even though we only have 4 positions. And so when using loops with arrays, it's always best to use the dot length attribute here. So x positions dot length, meaning this loop is going to repeat as many times as there are x positions. So if I add one, I don't need to change anything. So you see the 200 here in the center. If I remove it, you don't need to change anything either. Okay? So you can keep adding as much as you want. Now, there's already one at 400, so 300, let's do 400, why not? Okay? Now let me do one more row, this time in green. And in this row, instead of actually creating the loop ourselves, ourselves, I'm going to make it so that it's a random array. So x positions equals, and then I'm just going to make an empty list for now. And this time we're going to use 2 loops. One to fill this list, and then the second one to just the same as this one, just to draw the ellipses. So the first one I'm going to say for, again, I start with the structure, then var I equals 0, I is less than, I'm going to start with 4 because I want 4 ellipses, and I plus plus. And then inside here, I'm just going to use the dot push command. So expositions.push, that means add whatever is inside the parentheses here, add it to the end of the list. So I can push a number, I can say push 40 for example, and it's going to add 40. But I want to add random numbers. So I'm going to say random from 0 to 400. Okay? So this repeats 4 times, which means right now over here in this loop, we should have 4 numbers, not just 1. And you can see that by actually using text here and let's see, 100, 100, there. Let's restart. Oh, it has decimals, so let's do floor then. There. It's not very clear, but you can see that there are 4 numbers. Every time I click restart, and I'm just using the text command here, so it's just showing you what the list is. You have 260, 362, 14, and 101. Every time I click restart, they're still 4 numbers, but they're random. If I make this repeat 5 times, then I'll have 5 numbers, as you can see here. Okay? Now, so our list has 5 numbers now. All we need to do now is just draw them. So I'm just going to copy the exact same loop and use it here, except I'm going to move this down 1 more row, so 180. So all of this, and actually, I don't want to use the same variable twice here, so I'm going to use j in this situation, just so we don't get anything mixed up. Okay, so I used j for all of the variables, and now we have this random assortment of ellipses. Every time I click restart, you'll see the green ones are randomly generated. Now what's nice about this also is that I can choose to generate more. Instead of 5, I can choose 20, for example. And then I'll have 20 random dots. I can choose 100, and there we go. Okay? Now you have to be careful on when to just use loops, when to use loops and arrays, when to just use arrays. All of these things are decisions you have to make while making your project. The best thing to do is to test it. Like, start with the simplest thing, and if it's taking too long, maybe think, okay, will making a loop help? Will making an array help? And try it out and see if it does help you or not. Okay? There's a lot of content that we covered, and so it's perfectly normal to go back and look at the videos, email me, Google some stuff, just so, because you're like, it's very difficult to remember everything at the same time. All right? So good luck with your next work, and let me know if you have any questions. Bye.